Hey guys, welcome back to the hide. I've got kind of an old rifle out on the bench today. This is going to be sort of a update video for 2022, the Savage Mark II FV-SR, and would I still consider this a viable option in, let's say, the tactical 22 genre? And you know, all the different rifles that have came out, gosh, over probably the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years. You know, the Ruger Precision Rimfire, you know, Lithgow has one. I mean, the list literally goes on and on for all the different companies that have made kind of an NRL 22 tactical style 22 bolt action rifle. But honestly, in my opinion, the very first one was probably this one. Now, no, it doesn't include a fancy chassis or anything like that, but the extended bolt knob, threaded heavy barrel, 16.5 inch. You can run a suppressor on it. So I think this is probably one of the very first ones. Now, the cool thing about this gun is the fact that you can get it in most cases sub $250, brand new, out of the box, out the door. So compare that to some of the other ones, like some of the probably the cheapest I would say is probably the Ruger Precision, in at about $450. Now granted, you are getting a better chassis system, stock system with that, so that's going to come with extra cost. So if you were to upgrade this, at the very least, you could go, you know, $150 to $200 for a Boyd's, maybe a Pro Varmint or something like that, or maybe one of the @1 stocks. So then you're still right in that $400, $450 range, plus, you know, optic and everything like that. Now this does come with the scope base from the factory. It is a 0 MOA base, but it does come with it. The big limiting factor to this gun here, in my mind, is the magazines. I don't like the magazines. The Mark II magazines, they just suck. I mean, they're very, very clunky. They're relatively hard to load for what they are. You can get burrs on the insides of these feeding lips to make the rounds a little bit more difficult to load. I mean, it is what it is. You can get 10-round mags, so that is nice. I mean, you definitely need those if you're going to do any type of NRL type shooting with a gun like this. But they kind of are what they are. Now granted, the B series of Savage rifles kind of took care of that. They do have a little bit better magazine system. However, you're going to be paying a little bit more for those rifles, so it's kind of a, you know, a give and take style. The trigger on these, it does use the AccuTrigger. I will say the Mark II AccuTrigger is by no means what you see in their other bolt action rifles. It is a little bit clunky in my opinion. That's a huge limiting factor to this gun for me personally, as far as trying to shoot it for real accuracy and precision. It's really hard to get a good feel because it doesn't seem to break a lot of the times in the same place for me. Again, sample size of 1. As I mentioned, it does have a fluted 16.5 inch barrel, so that is very nice. It is threaded. I've got the Prodigy suppressor on it here. We're going to take some shots at 110 yards today just to kind of see what it'll do. But I mean, overall, it is still an option. I don't think it will probably fit the bill for a lot of guys that are looking to really be competitive. However, if you're looking to get into the sport, this is still an option in my opinion, just for what you can get into the rifle for. But let's take some shots down range and we'll kind of see how it does here. I have never grouped this rifle at 110 yards. I was just kind of throwing around the idea of maybe doing an update video on a rifle like this, because 22 tactical style bolt action stuff is still pretty hot. Guys are really enjoying doing it, and it is a ton of fun. Done quite a bit of it here at the hide too, and it is a blast, no question about it. But let's see if we can do anything down here. You guys can follow along in the shot cam, and we'll try 5 rounds of just the CCI standard 40 grain round nose, 1,070 feet per second, so it should be subsonic. Let's see what we can do here. We do have a little wind down at the backstop, but it shouldn't be too much. right, not terrible, I don't think. Just for basically some factory ammo. Now let's try some of this SK rifle match. This stuff, of course, is a bit more expensive. Should be hopefully a little bit better. Let's see what it does. But you know, as I said, you know, these rifles are, for what they are, relatively inexpensive. I mean, I've seen them as cheap as 200 bucks, and you can even get them honestly cheaper than that if Savage runs their rebates and things. You can pick them up for less than $200, I've seen. So they're definitely nothing to sleep on. Last shot here. All right. Now I've got some Ely 22LR precision bench rest. So this is a 40 grain solid as well. So let's try 5 of these and see how they do. The overall shootability of this little rifle is really nice. I mean, I'll be honest, is it going to be something that you're going to be like super competitive with if you do decide to get into it? No, probably not. However, it will definitely allow you to get into the sport without dropping a lot of money at first. So it's definitely something to consider, and then possibly upgrade later on if it's something you decide you like to do. So all right, now that's a group, guys. I tell you what, let's go grab the target. We'll get an idea of maybe the sizes on it, and we'll get some final thoughts on this rifle. All right, guys, I ran down and grabbed our target, and I have to say I am actually a little bit speechless at how well that rifle did shoot. I have never shot this gun out that far before. So here is our first group we shot. This is with the CCI standard, and here's a unfired round to kind of give you an idea on size. I don't have a tape measure or caliper with me here, but that's still not too bad. What's one of these? Probably about 1.5 inches maybe. And here is the SK rifle match, so maybe about the same, 2 inches. But this right here, oh my gosh, man, that right there is 4 shots in one hole. And here is, so if you count that flyer, which we always do, that's absolutely amazing. Guys, I gave like $200 for this rifle, and it shoots like that. I mean, that's insane. Here's my thumb next to it. So is it a viable option? Yeah, I think it is, honestly. I mean, if you're looking for something to maybe serve dual duty, something to go out and maybe shoot, you know, just an informal match on a weekend, then take it back to the range, you know, during the week, just to do some plinking with cans with your kids or whatever else. For the money spent, I still today don't see how you can beat or go wrong with the Savage Mark II FV-SR. It's just a lot of value, a lot of bang for your buck. Pair that up with a decent scope, and I mean, you're good to go. Like I said, other than the magazines and the trigger, I mean, those are things that can kind of be overcome. Training on the trigger, the magazines, they kind of are what they are. I will say I have in the past taken and just wrapped these with some electrical tape around here, just to kind of get the rough edges so they're not as pokey and things like that, and to keep them from splitting. But other than that, guys, I hope you liked this update. If you got any questions, you know, just post them up. I'd be glad to help. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel. Hit us up over on Patreon if you're so inclined to donate. It would be most appreciated. And as always, shoot straight. Later.